Sarah, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Fast. I'm your host, Sarah. Jacob is still off dancing, frolicking. I think he's in Italy right now. He's somewhere in the world that has beautiful sunshine and great pasta and cocktails. So I am lucky enough to be joined by two of my best friends, Haley and Libby, because we are breaking down everything Eras Tour today. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
So excited to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Okay, so do you guys want to do a brief intro of yourself? And how we're going to do this is say who you are, how we know each other, and how you started liking Taylor Swift, I guess. Let's do that as like the first little intro.
I'm Haley.
Yes.
Sarah and I met in first year university. I'm
That we
about
did.
6 months older than her, and she used my ID. So when I turned 19, Sarah
also.
turned 19.
And we actually placed each other in the bar, on her 19th birthday, a couple people ahead, just in case it didn't
My
work.
only thing was like, you can use it, but you have to be like
Behind
three
me
people
in
behind
line.
me
So
because I
whenever-
have to get in.
So whenever we go to the bar,
Friendship
Haley
from
would
it.
go in line first,
Yeah.
and I would be a few behind her. And then it got to a point where we didn't care. We just really use it. And how did you start listening to or liking Taylor Swift?
I mean, I think I was just in the perfect age, right?
Yeah.
Like from 15 to our song, like
Yeah, exactly.
it was perfect.
And you went to Speak Now tour, right? That
I
was your
did.
first time
I don't know
seeing
how
her?
old I would have been then because I don't remember that year.
That's like grade 7.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
12,
Yeah, I
13,
remember. Yeah.
around that time. Wow. I didn't get to see that tour. I'm very jealous. What about you?
Whoa, I feel so old now.
Don't feel old. Introduce yourself. How do we know each other?
I'm Libby, and I used to work with Sarah,
That we did.
and we met. I think we had our first day on like the same day.
Yes.
And we just became fast friends.
Yep. Talked about The Bachelor.
Yeah, we became non-site specific friends. We transcended workplace friends.
That is true. That is true.
And now she's Auntie Sarah to my son.
Yes.
And I was like 21 when Speak Now came on tour. 22?
That would make sense. You're 9 years older
Yeah,
than me.
that makes sense.
So that would make sense.
But I was a debut girly, so I was like big into the
Mary song? Sorry.
We keep joking about, you'll get it later when we talk about the surprise songs. We were like terrified Mary's song was going to be a surprise song because none of us know the words to that song.
I do, though.
Libby does, but the rest of us didn't. We were a little nervous about it. But.
So I've seen Taylor. This was my third time seeing her. So I was a Speak Now girly, 1989, and then this was most recent. Yeah.
So the first era of this podcast we're going to go into is the before the show preparation, how we got the tickets, all that. The second era, we're going to go into the actual show itself, the experience, surprise songs, all of that. And the third era will be things we learned, post-show thoughts, and seeing her again, things we think we would change or things that will change. Okay. Are you guys ready to enter our own Talking Fast Eras tour?
Ready.
Born ready. I love that. Okay, so the first question that we got, so I sent out a question. If you want to ask a question to the podcast, you can always follow Talking Fast Show on Instagram. That's usually where I do a call out. So the first question we got was, how did you get the tickets? And especially, how did you get the tickets? Because how did we get our seats? Because we did have an incredible view. If you didn't see through like Instagram or anything, we were row 21 on the floor in the first section of the floor, right like at where the stage meets the runway. So how did we get the tickets? I guess it was Hales and I that were in the war of it the most.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like give credit where credit's due. You did get them.
But like I wasn't even someone that was blessed with verified fan presale.
Oh, right. You got in through your sister.
My
I had
sister.
verified fan too.
You had
Didn't
verified
work.
fan.
Like,
Didn't
did
work.
not work.
But you, granted, you were also on your cell phone, like in the back of a taxi trying to get it too, which and like we didn't know it was going to be as like dramatic as it ended up being. So for those who don't know, verified fan presale is when you have like it's a random draw on who gets the presale code. And what we didn't know is that was going to end up being the only way people could get tickets, like face value naturally, because they didn't even open up to a general public sale. My sister got it. Haley got it. We initially wanted it for June 17th for the day of my birthday, but they added the second Pittsburgh show and they gave us the pre-sale for the Friday, June 16th. We're like, great, whatever. And Haley was trying to log on and get tickets, and I was trying to log on and get tickets. We always knew we wanted like a few, though. We always knew we wanted at least 3, but probably 4.
I remember now. We had, not to talk about a different concert, but I was coming home from getting us Luke Combs tickets from box office when I got the email.
We got it that day.
And I was like, I FaceTimed you walking along Bremner being like, oh my gosh.
I forgot about that. You're right. It was
I forgot
Luke
about
Combs.
that.
And so then I was sitting, I worked from home that day. Everyone at work knew I wasn't coming to the office. I worked from home that day. I had my computer ready and I just like willed our way into it. Look, like I know a lot of people waited 6-7 hours on Verified Print Presale, got nothing. When I tell you I saw these 4 seats, it was an aisle, set of 4 on the floor. We were the first row after VIP tickets. So for context, our tickets were $250 USD each. The seats directly in front of us were $800 USD each. Insane. That was face value too, because that was a VIP ticket. So I was like, these are the best seats we can get without paying an arm and a leg. And I had those 4 seats in my checkout legitimately 13 times. Like I would text Haley and Ashley and go, I got them, and be like, oh no, I didn't, it canceled again. But then the tickets would just pop back up, and I just kept trying and trying. I don't like really have a religion or whatever, but I just remember like standing there praying to like whatever God. And then eventually when I saw it finally go through and said, you got the tickets, like it had been 4 hours of trying to purchase the same 4 seats. So it felt like, I don't know, it felt meant to be.
Not
like I just knew
13 times.
No, that wasn't intentional, but maybe.
I was like, I need to let her finish her thought, but I need to say
and
that.
So then it was always Haley, Ashley, and I, if you guys know, Haley and I went to New York to go listen to the album with Ashley Midnights once it dropped back in October in New York. But we just never had like the 4th person. But Lib also made the most sense because she is one of our best friends. She's a Taylor diehard and like knows all of us. And also it was a really big trip for you because it was your first trip away from your son, which is kind of crazy.
It was insane. I remember you like first floating the idea by me. We were at dinner and I was like, yeah, I'll go. Like I would love to go. Like I know, like I was like, whoever, you have a lot of friends, so if you want me to go, I'll go. And then when you actually asked me, I was like, chosen moment. Oh my God. And I was so excited, but then I panicked because that was my first time away from Max, who's almost 1.
Yeah.
But I figure like if you're going to go away overnight, like it was 36 hours I was gone for. Like there's no better person to go. Like there's no better reason to leave than for Taylor.
For Taylor's for this iconic tour. But that's also why it was like it took like longer for me to think to ask you, because I didn't know like if I had asked you in November, like do you want to leave your son and come to this thing, like I don't know if necessarily the answer would have been immediate yes. Like we got the tickets in November and like it's like months later that you actually figure out logistics. So then that was the next part, is people want to know, how did we get to the show and why did we decide Pittsburgh?
I mean, we didn't really decide Pittsburgh. It was decided for us. I think in Verified Fan, you could put like your top 3 shows or something. So we know we wanted to do it around the border and around Sarah's birthday. Yeah. And that's what decided it.
Worked out. Yeah. And then for how we got there, these 2 lovely ladies drove. So Haley did the drive from Toronto to St. Catharines, and then Libby turned around, and then we said goodbye to Max. We got in the car and drove from St. Catharines through, granted, like I didn't really vlog it, but it was like a horrendous thunderstorm.
The lightning?
It was bad. We had bad driving conditions.
Screams in the car.
Yeah.
You were like, keep your hands on the wheel.
Yeah, because at one time the lightning goes and you go, ah! You like lift your hands off the wheel.
Sarah's like, we're in the safest space. Like we're in a car.
You said that so many times as if to calm us down.
Yeah, well, it's true. Lightning's not going to hit you, the rubber or something. That was like grade 7 science.
It was 4.5 hours, I think, in the car both ways. And it was a fun excursion. It was a fun little road trip. I think any further would have been
a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think it felt that bad. It didn't feel like a drive to Ottawa. Like it didn't feel that long to me. Yeah, which was nice when we broke it up. We ended up at this really small a couple of really random towns, some Walmarts, some just like
Sarah was the princess of Walmart.
Yeah, the middle of nowhere. Oh yeah. Yeah, that guy on the scooter hit on me in a Walmart. Yeah. I was flattered. He was still very polite though. Yeah. Everyone wants to know, where did you find outfit inspiration, and did you feel pressure to dress up, and what era did you dress up in? So we'll start with you, Lib.
Okay, so I don't think anybody needs to dress up for Taylor. Like I feel like there's been this big conversation around your Era's outfit, and I wanted to, but I don't feel like anybody should feel like they have to.
I agree.
You could literally go in your pajamas, and people would be like, find a reason to be like, oh, midnight. Or like,
or they're like, oh, you belong with me.
Exactly. But I wanted to just do something because it was my first night out. It was, my first concert since 2019.
Oh, wow.
So I just went like, I don't do color. We all know this. So I just went like really simple for like rep era, simple black dress, black boots, snake jewelry that I bought on Etsy. But I know that people have a lot of fun with it, but I've seen so many people online panicking about the pressure. It's like, if you can have fun to do that, do it. By all means, it was a lot of fun to do. And like we had so much fun getting ready, but I feel like anybody can just wear whatever you want there, and it's a safe space.
I agree. And I think also like you're a great example of like an outfit that you can dress up to a theme without having to like go buy like a whole new thing or like spend hours beating things like we did. Like you can just like take a black dress and like have a couple like a smoky eye and it's like your rep air, like exactly. And like everyone knows exactly what theme you're dressing on still. So yeah, you don't have to feel the pressure to do it.
But you guys looked incredible.
I will say the one thing I was very proud of. So for those who don't know, Haley and I dressed up in the so Taylor in the 1989 era of the Eras tour wears these like cute little like matching glittery sets, like blinged out sets. And as soon as I saw the green one, I was like, oh, that's what I need to wear. That's what I need to make. And then Haley was like, well, what if I made the pink one? Then we matched. I was like, amazing. Let's do it. She wears 3 colors and we wore green and pink and we're waiting for 1989 to come out. The second she comes out in the orange outfit.
I just remember Sarah and I both looking down at ourselves and then looking at each other and at the same time saying, she wore the orange?
I know. It was like, we like to think that it was because she wanted to like match so we could be a complete set.
Yeah, she knew.
Obviously.
She saw Sarah's TikTok. She read the group chat. She knew she had to be in orange.
So we spent hours and hours beating. My sister custom made the top and skirt and then we spent the hours and hours beating.
Yeah, like 2 months ago. I mean, still to the day, it was a great idea. 2 months ago, it was a brilliant idea.
About 12
the
hours
night before we left, it was okay. Like we've made it 95%. We just need to finish it.
People don't know that these girls, like, their backs hurt from like hunched over.
We used Voltaren.
Their fingers
We're 27 years old.
Yeah, they
with
were
muscle
like
cream.
body glitter and Voltaren in the bathroom. I felt like one of those Cinderella mice, like helping you get into your outfits.
Stapling us into our outfits.
Literally, like Libby's like tying and taking in the skirt and pinning and then like stapling. We literally, Haley brought a stapler and we stapled ourselves into these outfits.
I brought fabric glue to the concert.
You left us before to go up to get your fabric glue.
Yeah, I had to. I had to.
It was so fun though.
No, it was really fun and like we got a lot of compliments on it. We were the only 2 that I saw at that show, at least where we were, that like dressed to that theme, which was really cool. Like, yeah, I know you don't have to be the only ones, but I just thought that was really fun. And they also photographed really well. I was a little nervous about how they were going to photograph because we hadn't taken, obviously taken pictures in them, and you have the idea in your head, but you don't know how it's actually going to look.
And like close up, like they look a little DIY.
Yeah,
I'm proud of them, but they look DIY.
No, they're DIY.
From a distance, I'm like,
I only lost one set of beads. I turned to you in the car. I go, look, I lost some because I was like, what's under my feet? And it was only little beads that fall off. But I only lost one set of beads the entire night.
Yeah, they held up.
They did.
They held up.
A lot of staples and a lot of glue, but they did hold up.
I cut you out of it.
You did,
so it held up.
I also think like with all the eras that Taylor has, there's so many like options of things you already have in your closet because she covers so much ground. So
well, that was like the first thing Haley and I said was, like this was really like this was really fun, but when she comes to Toronto, maybe we like buy an outfit.
Maybe look in our closet.
Maybe we do something a little simpler than the hours of glitter.
I was going around to everyone, like I was like, where'd you get that? Just taking like inspo for if she comes to Toronto. But I think what got me was the little kids.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
They were wearing like matching outfits with their moms and they were wearing like my first concert t-shirts. It was adorable.
But for the record, when we did talk about like when she comes to Toronto, you're like, yeah, I think I might do the rep bodysuit. It's like, okay, Sarah, that's quite the opposite.
I know.
Of buying something.
Look, if I'm anything, I'm extra. I can't help it. We talked a little bit about pre-show, getting ready, our outfits. Now we are entering the Eras tour. We're getting to the stadium. We've just finished stapling ourselves into our costumes, and now we are about to take an Uber to the stadium. First of all, what's going through everyone's minds when we're like getting in the Uber actually going to the show?
It was like a swarm of glitter just moving to this one direction.
That's true.
I couldn't even explain it. It was just like this convergence of Swifties into this one space. And then we just got out of the Uber because we couldn't go any further.
Yeah.
It was, I was excited, but it was just, I've never seen that many fans take over a city like that. It was insane.
Especially all decked out too. Like I've been to Taylor Swift. This was my 5th Taylor Swift concert, and like people always dress up to a certain degree, but like this is one where like majority of people were like dressed up in something, and like we're in the Uber and we're going, oh, there's a debut, there's a Speak Now, there's, oh look, there's a Reputation outfit. Like we were like pointing out the eras, which is really fun. What about you? How are you feeling? Because we were like pulling up when we first got out.
I'm gonna call you out. You guys were nervous. You guys were so nervous.
We got
stressed out.
We got like silly, goofy,
like,
giddy,
like,
nervous.
Yeah, and like a little like anxious. I was a little anxious.
I was definitely stressed out earlier. Like, and I think because at one point you were like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I think I'm just overwhelmed."
You were wedding day, Met Gala.
Yeah.
We were nervous getting ready. I was very like, we didn't really talk a lot getting ready. We just kind of like did our things and then like made some TikToks. We had a drink at the bar at the hotel before we left, and that like really helped me out though. Yeah, to be honest.
But yeah, I think I was just like trying to sit in my outfit. That was a thing.
I feel like
that was a moment because of how I like stapled myself into it. I'm like, oh, I didn't think about bending. But yeah, and then once you just started seeing everybody, weirdly kind of calmed me because I'm like, okay, cool, we're all here. We're all here for the same thing. It's like we all have the same goal, and it's seeing Taylor Swift and having a good time tonight.
And then we go to try and get into the stadium, and I have a minor heart attack when I scan the ticket thing and it shows up red, and the woman goes, "Oh," and I was like, "These are real tickets." Like,
but can we talk about how you printed us the best souvenir? And you printed us tickets, and we thought it'd be like, you know, standard like Ticketmaster ticket. These tickets were the size of our forearms.
Willy Wonka.
They were like golden tickets. So I wanted like a cute photo of us to be able to have like an actual memorable ticket. And then when I did the printing, I thought it was abnormally expensive, and I didn't think to look at the sizing. And they just printed the size based off the paper I sent and didn't like read my mind and print them ticket sizes.
But
we still brought them.
I still have it.
We still brought them. But so we went up, and at first it scanned red, and they're like, no, it's because you can't enter here. You got to go to the floor entrance. And I was like, oh my God, thank God. Like, it was
because we had floor tickets.
Because we had floor seats. So how do we end up on the floor anyway? We walked all the way around to find the floor entrance. That's where we traded a few friendship bracelets. A lot of people ask questions about friendship bracelets, whether people actually traded them or not. Not really.
I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I didn't really see it happening.
Not once we got inside. The only time we had it was when we were walking to the entrance. A mother grabbed us, like, can you please trade bracelets with her? Like, she's really wanted to. So we traded bracelets with a little girl from Jersey. And then when I was walking up to go, when you were going to the washroom, there was a little girl that stopped me and Ashley on our walk up. But those were the literally only 2 times I traded.
Yeah, a girl came up to me in the merch line and asked me.
Was that my first washroom break? Or was that my
That was your first washroom break. That was your first washroom break. So let's talk about merch and washrooms, because another big question we got a lot. And I think it's because like you only hear about the bad stuff about a concert when like you're on social media. So like people are stressing about like the merch lines and the bathroom lines and everything. You guys can speak to that more than I can. So merch lines, Haley was smart and got in the merch line as soon as we got there.
Yeah, we went to our seats, had our moment, had our photos, and then we were like, let's go for a bathroom break. And I was like, I think I really wanted merch. So I was like, I'm going to stand here. It was a cluster. Like there were no lines. So you kind of just stood there. And as you moved forward, you were like, okay, I guess I'm going right or I'm going left. Like you got to make a decision. The girl in front of me actually was there by herself too. So we ended up just like talking, and nice. I actually just played games on my phone to pass the time, but I was in line for a solid like hour 15.
Well, yeah, because you missed both openers. Yeah. And when like Haley came back like from the merch with like legitimately like 5 minutes, it was it was perfect timing. Yeah, like if you had gone even 5 minutes later, you would have been late. Like,
I would have left the line.
Yeah, you literally with 5 minutes to spare perfectly made it. So I think like you can wait in the lines inside the stadium, and like you can still make, if you get there early and make the show. Also the merch is open after the show, which we saw. There was a way shorter line after the show for people that want merch, but there is merch available. And also when she drops like international dates, she'll drop new merch. For sure. So you can pre-order it like I did. I pre-ordered this one the second they went on sale. And then What about bathrooms?
Okay, so my post-baby pelvic floor is not what it used to be. So everywhere I go, I clock where a bathroom is. And I'm not going to lie, the bathrooms are dicey. They actually converted a lot of the men's rooms to women's rooms.
Washrooms, yeah.
The lines move fast, but it's a free-for-all in there. It wasn't too bad, but like you said, the lines weren't for concession. They weren't really for drinks. They were just mostly for bathrooms. Yeah. And then during the concert, it wasn't too bad.
Was there still people in line though when you went during the concert?
Oh yeah, I mean there was 72,000 people there.
Did you go to the porta potties or like actually up in the?
On one trip I did.
Okay.
And Sarah was just like, go past the crowd to the fringes, and people were really polite, so it wasn't too bad. But I would say if you can make it to the actual bathrooms, go to the bathrooms.
Yeah,
but if
I
you
only
can't,
used the porta potties.
I used the porta potty.
And
But we did it early.
Yeah, well, then I went another time when you were in the
did.
merch line because I was so anxious that I was going to have to leave the show and I didn't want to. So I just had to go to like trick myself that I was fine. And that was a situation where I just walked past the whole like line and I probably cut a bunch of people. But like there was again clusters and that. But if you just plan it out properly,
I pre-planned my bathroom break.
And what songs did you go to bathroom break?
So I think everyone needs to be very strategic about these things.
It's true.
So I had seen the 1989 tour. So I was like, if there is a time for me to go, that's when I'm going to go. So I missed like Shake It Off and that's okay. I still heard it. It was still great.
You also still made it for the end because there's a video on my phone of you and me dancing to Shake It Off.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
you still made it.
I mean, going during any concert, you're going to miss something, just like going to movies. But I mean, pick the song that you're least excited to see or hear and go for that. Don't miss your favorite song at all.
No, exactly. And also, even if you like are anxious like me and think you're gonna have to pee, the second she comes on stage and you're just like so overwhelmed, like you don't even think about using the washroom again. Like I was able to survive the whole show. So let's talk about the first time we went to the seats and saw where we were sitting, and like that made it like real. Like what was everyone's like feelings and excitement around that?
I mean, the first time that I ever saw Taylor Swift, I was in the last row of the ACC. On this very side, like I was more behind the stage than I actually
like
was.
obstructed view.
And then the second time I was on the 100s in Rogers Center. So being that close, I couldn't believe it. I felt like someone was gonna tell me you're in the wrong.
Oh
spot.
yeah, saying that you're in the wrong
because
seat.
I didn't ask you where your tickets were when you asked me to go.
Right.
So when you guys were talking about it, I thought, oh, I have no idea. I'm just going to go see Taylor. But I didn't know that they were on the floor. And then when you told me, I got really emotional because it was like, this is what I've been waiting for my entire life.
And Ashley was the same way. She had never seen Taylor Swift on the floor before either.
I was just shocked. I think there was many times that I was pointing to Sarah. I was like, she's gonna be right there. Yeah. She's gonna be right there. Yeah. We're right there. Really? Yeah. And Sarah's like, yeah, Haley.
Well, I have a video on my phone of a Haley pointing when she's on stage going, she's right there. She's right there.
I did that many times. And it's the whole daylight thing too. It really is weirdly more intimate.
100% when you're like seeing even with 72,000 people when you're seeing a show in daylight. Yeah. I was pleasantly surprised because like, I mean, when you see row 20, like you don't really know and you can't like, you can watch like online, look at like viewers of your point of view of the show, like where it's going to be, but it's never actually accurate to like where you're sitting. So I was very happy when we got there and I was like, oh, these are actually like good. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I had to tell myself when she was on stage, like, look at her. Don't look at the screen.
I know. There's a few times like when she came to our side of the stage and whatnot, which was a little crazy. Did you guys both know the set list before?
Am I going to call you out again?
Yeah,
Sarah made us the most Sarah Jenkins tour like a package PDF before the trip with all of the
I didn't print it out. I meant to and I forgot
set list, itinerary, the callbacks during this. It was the most Sarah thing I've ever seen.
I totally forgot about that. I definitely didn't reference that as many times as I should have. I just did a Spotify playlist. Like someone had made it, which you probably link to or something.
Yeah, it was we all did know the set list. There was no hiding it from TikTok either. But I will say the coolest thing with the show, and I think the thing I was anxious about is everyone's built this up. I loved the Reputation tour. It's my favorite concert this day. Maybe not anymore, but like it was. And I was like, can this really be as like big and magical as everyone says it is? Or is it just that there's so many people, it's their first time seeing Taylor that they've never seen her show before, so they don't know that it's this elaborate. But TikTok doesn't do it justice. The craziest thing to me is, we all said the same thing, is the opening song is Miss Americana and the Heartbreak Prince. And she goes like, it's been a long time coming. She only sings one chorus.
Yeah.
And then she was right in A Cruel Summer. It was like whiplash. I was like, wait a second. Like I assumed she would sing the whole song.
I didn't know that either. So, and same with Illicit Affairs. She kind of comes in partway through.
Yeah, but the drama that comes with Illicit Affairs was insane.
Yeah, so if she doesn't sing your favorite chorus or your favorite verse, like she sells it enough that you don't mind.
Yeah, it's and even with You Need to Calm Down, I think you and I started singing off the bat. We're like, oh no, we're not taking shots. Like it's Patron.
No, she starts it from the second verse. Yeah. So that's where she can get a lot more songs, which makes sense. But like when you've only seen clips on TikTok, you don't know which songs are the full songs and which ones are only part of it. So that was really interesting. What was something that surprised you about the show? Because if we've watched it on TikTok and stuff, there's still stuff that surprises you about it.
I think the visuals were really interesting because obviously like when you're watching it on TikTok, you're mostly watching somebody like, you know, you're watching Taylor, but then when you're seeing the dancers and how much is going in to like the visuals in the back, it was really interesting to watch. And that surprised me that it was like, it was so, everything was thought out for no matter where you were sitting, you had a good seat. And then the fire. And
oh my gosh, that is what surprised
us.
We're like, oh, that's hot.
The fire during Bad Blood like was roasting us on the one side, but that surprised me a lot.
Yeah, that's actually a good thing. That's a good thing. We all went, oh okay. And it was kind of chilly at that point, so it was kind of nice because it was like a burst of heat.
I do think to like kind of go off Libby's point is like on TikTok, right? They're zoomed in or like super close videos of Taylor, but you like do a wide shot of that. So like you're now seeing it all and you're like, oh my God, like every inch of this stage is being used. Like the dramatics, like everything is just not that I had any doubt, but is so thought through. Like I can't get over the dramatics of Tolerate It.
No.
And I had not seen that on TikTok.
I know. And Tolerate It was a song that like going to the show, I was like, why is this on the set list? Like it was like I like that song, but like why is it on the set list? And it was, and luck, like it's also where you're seated, and that's always going to play a factor, right? So for us, like we were seated like where like the man that she's acting out this like scene at a dinner table, and the man is like sitting there, and then she's facing us where we were seated, like as she's like screaming, singing at him, and like that was really cool to see. So I don't think I would have appreciated that as much if you were even seated somewhere else. That might also change it. And I know I've seen people that set up in like the 300s or something, like the you need to calm down, like visuals on the stage. Like we couldn't see any of the visuals on the stage, but we could see stuff like on the screen, obviously.
I also thought that there would be more time between eras, and it wasn't. Like she's changing so fast.
She was quick.
Like we literally would want to sit down because our feet were hurting, and like we wouldn't even have time to sit down at that point. It was like pointless to sit down for a moment because it's like you're right back up 2 seconds later. You're right. I didn't realize how quick paced the show was.
I think Ashley even said, she's like, after the red era, it was like, you know, you got like 5 or 6 minutes. We got like 30 seconds. It was so fast.
Fast.
I sat down and I was like, oh no,
nope, just kidding. Up. You don't. She's getting back up because she's gonna keep singing again. Do you think there was enough songs from each era, or do you wish she had given some time to other eras and songs?
Justice for Speak Now.
Yeah.
I think there will be more Speak Now when Taylor's version is released. Released?
You got a little dang right now.
But I think there are songs that I was disappointed weren't part of the main set list, like Getaway Car. I would have loved. But I think for the most part, it was pretty good. But I just love Speak Now so much that I wish... that there was more of that. I mean, Enchanted was fantastic, but I would have loved more from that era.
I was shocked, not surprised, that there were so many Evermore folklore songs. I've been saying this since the beginning, that I don't think there's another artist on the planet right now that could do that many songs of that type in front of like 80,000 people and have everybody sing back to them and being that dramatic, because like those are not like stadium songs.
No, 100%.
But yeah, same with Speak Now, but I understand probably the logic behind it, because if she did, then she doesn't have Taylor's version, so the Spotify playlist would be streaming not her version, and so I imagine when her version comes out, that might change a bit.
And we'll get into that a little later if we think the set list is going to change and everything. I think the crazy thing for me witnessing the show was how much like you don't, I mean, you obviously know she's had many eras, that's the whole point of the tour and all these different things, but there's nothing like the whiplash of like going from like an Evermore to then like a Reputation, or like the things are all out of order. Like you don't, like you forget, oh my God, like this woman has had so many different, she's hits different genres and hits all of these different notes with it. And I don't think until you see it and are experiencing it, like you realize, oh my God, like I literally forgot about 1989. I literally mapped my outfit after 1989, but forgot it was coming. I go, oh my God, we still haven't heard Style yet.
Yeah.
And so then there's so many moments where you're like, you just have a new appreciation for her discography.
She's also so young. People are starting their careers at 33, and this woman has eras.
I know. It's insane.
I don't understand.
I need eras.
So speaking of eras, I want to know what everyone's favorite era of the night was, and like favorite song. If you can pick. I don't think I can, so that's why I'm curious about what yours are.
Era? I mean, the nostalgia of Fearless.
That's the first time I started crying.
It was, yeah. left me speechless. Like you're just like, oh my gosh, like the memories that come back, just like the fun, like, you know, you're like all of a sudden you're like 14 or 15 or however old we were when it came out. And then Midnights, I would say seeing all that stuff live was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, because you forget that she hasn't performed that live yet. So that
and she
really
loves
cool.
it.
She loves it. You can tell. What about you?
My favorite Taylor era, well, I think start to finish, Reputation is the best album. I'll Die on This Hill.
I'm the same way.
No notes. But I loved watching Evermore because I love Evermore. I'm an Evermore girly. And just to see it finally on stage and hear her play it live was fantastic. But I mean, when she's like ended with Midnights, I was like, this is so good. Like everything was so good. I couldn't pick one.
I know. I think like there was, for me, it was seeing the eras I've never seen before. So like I went to the Reputation tour. So like obviously it was amazing seeing the songs because they're my favorite, but like I didn't get to go to 1989 tour. So getting to hear like Style, like have its like whole moment was really big for me. And then the moments I cried though were, I never thought I would get to hear All Too Well again, like live. I didn't think she'd ever play it again after I saw her on Red Tour forever ago. So the 10-minute version, which doesn't feel like 10 minutes, but she plays everyone's like, does she really play the full 10 minutes? She plays the full 10 minutes. And every single person at the stadium is screaming it and whatever. There's just when I subtly cried the entire show. It was just soft tears the entire time. And there's something so powerful about that. Like a song that's universally loved by all the fans that everyone's screaming to. That was probably my favorite like moment.
Yeah. I think always when we're talking about Taylor Swift and I ask somebody, what's your favorite Taylor song? I just assume that we all love All Too Well 10-minute version. So I'm like, just discount it and then tell me what your second favorite.
Yeah, what's your current favorite?
That's
the
true.
next one.
It was really emotional to hear that song live and just to hear everyone for 10 minutes straight singing. Aside from that, one of my favorite songs of the night was Marjorie. Marjorie was fantastic.
So speaking of crying, was that the first time you guys both cried?
Yes.
I kind of cried like as she came up.
Okay, yeah, me too. Because we were overwhelmed.
And I said, oh my God, am I already crying? Like she's not even on stage, it's just her dancers.
Yeah,
no tears fell, but that was watery.
Watery, like overwhelmed.
Yeah. Yes. Marjorie was full on, I'm a crier, but not really in public. And Marjorie was full on like, oh my God, there are tears coming down. Like I need a tissue.
Yeah. It was, I mean, I had told my friends, if I'm going to cry, I'm going to cry at Marjorie. And it's such an emotional song. But I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to cry. I've seen Taylor before.
I didn't think I was
going to
cry.
And then I look over and like, little Sarah's weeping. Haley's like Bambi eyes looking at the stage. Yeah. Ashley's losing her mind with her cat ears on. And then all of a sudden All Too Well started playing and there was like one line specifically that I wasn't expecting. It was the if we had been closer in age, maybe we would be fine. That made me want to die. And all of a sudden I was like, my throat's burning, like Fault in Our Stars level crying. I'm just like, and I just started crying.
I know, but I will say, like, I think, because we had some friends be like, what do you mean you cried? I go, I think that goes to show that we were really, like, immersed in it, though. Like, I don't cry if I'm, like, totally disassociating from the concert. Like, I think that was allowing myself to just feel it all. And for me, like, I cried when Fearless started playing because, like, I've never heard that live. And, like, it's one of my favorite songs and I never thought I'd get to. Like, things like that where you never thought you'd get to hear it.
You're thinking of, like you said, you're thinking of the younger you who was going through something, who loved that song, and then you're thinking of like the older you who is listening back with a new meaning and thinking, how did this genius woman write this that still affects me now? It was just this release, I think. And I think for me anyways, it was my first concert after COVID, and it was just sensory overload, and much has happened that it just felt like I needed to just get it all out through my eyes.
But it felt like a safe space to cry, too.
Oh,
like
100%.
The entire concert feels like a very safe space. And so I think that's what also like allows you to like shed the tears a little bit, shed the way. I think the times that I cried at Fearless, I cried at All Too Well 10-minute version. I got welled up when she came on stage the first time. And I definitely cried at Enchanted. Yeah, that one was like another song. Like the songs I never thought I'd get to hear. But
yeah, you definitely did. And in that video, I'm standing there. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just like singing along and like this.
Your hands are clasped in prayer.
With my Bambi eyes.
There's a lot of videos of like, it's just so funny to see how people react differently. Like I'm like screaming and like my like little former fangirl stuff comes out. Whereas Haley is just like in awe, like a child, like looking up like, oh my God, what is
my
that?
inner child.
I'm swearing. Like I can hear myself swearing in your videos. And I was like, oh my gosh, we need to turn this down a bit.
So we couldn't talk about the show if we didn't talk about the surprise songs. So it never got posted because there was no service at the thing, but we actually made a video like saying what surprise songs we wanted.
You should still post it.
I know I should still post it, but it just like never ended up posting. And so we had made a surprise song video beforehand, and we like had theories of Dear John, and we had signs and all this stuff.
That video got posted.
I know that one got posted. The Delusion. I wouldn't be lying if I said I was a little butthurt. She played 7 literally the next night, but I like to believe that she did it for my birthday, so that's perfectly fine.
Mr.
Perfectly fine.
Did you do that on purpose?
No, that was totally unintentional. But
I'm
just a great podcast host, that's why. So our first surprise song was Mr. Perfectly Fine. That was a really long intro she gave, like a very long intro. Like she was like trying to like egg it on for a long time. What were your reactions to Mr. Perfectly Fine first?
I don't want to sound ungrateful. Because I know there are so many people who were like, I can't believe you got Mr. Perfectly Fine. But for me, I was just like, well, okay. Like, I mean, I'm here. I'm going to sing my heart out. But it wasn't like a deep cut that you like the second one, which we'll get to in a second. But I think for you and I, like when that song first came out and we knew it was about Joe Jonas, and like we also got to see the Jonas Brothers together, and like there was like a lot like of layers there that we didn't even realize it was really an option to be played. I think everyone thought if she was ever going to play it, she was going to bring out Joe. That was like the theory everyone had. So to get it felt like whiplash a little bit because we're like, what? Like we're
like, oh, she's actually
singing.
Yeah, I'm like, where's Sophie?
Exactly. So I was still very excited because it was still like a song that's like I knew obviously all the words to, and one that was like I love when it's a song that's never been played before because then I get to be like, oh, I was the first one to hear it live. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was great. And we had the video of our reaction. That's our
the
reaction.
Video.
Just
that's
screaming.
Our reaction. It's on TikTok. You can just go watch the reaction of Haley and I just being like, what? Like, because she's like, fearless, and then it's never been played before. You were convinced.
It was the very first night.
Which we would have been stoked with.
Yeah, because she was like, vault track, this, that. And I was like, no way it's Mr. Perfectly Fine.
Yeah.
And like, what other vault track is she going to hype up this much? And then you're like, oh, because she did Better Man. I was like, maybe it's Babe. Because she's like, oh.
Yeah. I would have loved Babe.
Babe would have been good.
But then she's like, I've never played it before. I'm like, oh, we've played Babe before. So yeah. It's a weird emotional roller coaster because also it's like she does a 1999 era. And then out of nowhere, she's like at the end of the stage, you're like, oh shit, it's surprise song time. Like it's just very out of nowhere. And then the second one came, which was The Last Time, which again, another one that no one really thought would have been an option without Gary.
Yeah.
So this was one where the video of Libby is so good because this was when she did an intro. So she just starts playing the song on piano and I just start like singing it in my head, and then everyone's looking at each other and I go, no, like I start singing the first line and then Libby realizes what the song is and just goes ape shit.
I believe, and I will write like a master's thesis that is her best duet. Like it is. I know. I see you go. Maybe not.
No. I'm thinking. I'm thinking
I think it's such a brilliant song. It's so emotional, and to hear her voice, like we were talking about this, hearing her sing Fearless songs with like her lower register, and this more mature Taylor, it was fantastic. If Gary Lightbody had walked out, I think I would have like
passed out.
A medic would have needed to come over. It was just so perfect. That was the one where like my throat still hurts from just screaming at the top of my lungs.
And also like that was another song that like with her lower register was like perfect. Like Kaylee and I looked at each other at one point and we're like, this song is perfect for her voice now. And I saw a lot of people on TikTok and Twitter saying that the last time walked so Evermore and Folklore could run.
Like
it's very that same vibe. Overall though, you're always gonna be, if you go to the show, you're gonna be happy with whatever songs you get. Like even people are like, what about Me? What if you get the Me acoustic version and it ends up being a version everyone likes? Who knows? Like you're seeing Taylor Swift, you're always going to be like a little bit happy. Why? What would you not have been happy with?
Oh, Taylor, Cover Your Ears.
Mary's song.
I think yeah, I wouldn't have been happy with Mary's song. I would have sang it.
Yeah.
I would have sold it that I loved it.
But yeah.
But I think there's so many coming down to the wire that you're just like, I want to hear this live. I want to hear this live. And it's become competitive. It's almost like you were at night one, so you got this. Right. But I'm joking. It was all wonderful.
Does she do any more from debut, do you think, as a surprise song?
I think Picture to Burn is the only one that she'll do.
Yeah.
I don't think any other. She has to save a bunch for LA. She's got a 5-night residency in LA when all the big wigs are going to be there. Like that's when she's got to be playing like Dear John and
I think that's when
all
she's
the
going to
big ones.
Lana's going to come out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So all the big wigs will come out then. But regardless, also for those that are listening, she's going to reset for international tour dates. Like I had said I wanted back to the summer. People are like, she has to play that in Toronto. I go, no, she doesn't have enough songs that she wants to sing.
I was going to say, this woman has a lot of songs, but not enough to go on like a 2-year tour.
And also, when she did Reputation tour, she did one surprise song every single night. That was the only difference was she could do it that time because it was only one surprise song, not two. She's ripping through them too quickly.
Like she's doing 44 songs a night.
Yeah, it's insane.
I'm just gonna be grateful. Yeah, I was just happy to be here. That's all. Yeah.
So now we are post-show. The Eras tour is done. I have taken off my sparkly shoes and switched into my Amazon ballet flats that I wore to walk home. Incredible purchase. Side note for everyone, they all freaked out about the bag policy and no one checked our bags once. Like Ashley brought in 2 bags and nobody questioned it. So like I'm not condoning that. I'm just saying that like don't stress about the bags and shoes and all this as much as I think people let it on to be online. Like I was so stressed about the bag policy and like they didn't look at our stuff once.
And it was such a like kind of a foreign concept to us, right? With the clear bags and like the sizing. So we were kind of like we need it to be this and that. But they were pretty lax.
Would you guys say this was the best concert you've ever been to or best Taylor Swift concert you've ever been to?
Every time I see Taylor, I'm just like for me, because I know there are a lot of people who be like, what about Beyonce? But for me, there was nothing like last night. She's always great performance-wise, but the energy and just the community, I don't think I've ever felt that at a show before. And I feel like maybe it was the outfits, the friendship bracelets. Everybody just seemed, there was no mean girl energy there. You could talk to somebody in line and they wouldn't think twice about it. They were people were coming up to other people complimenting. And that's why I think it was, for me, the best concert experience, because even though it was so many people, it felt like we're all just here because we love Taylor and we're just having like the best night ever.
I love that. And it also lended itself to like not feeling like, I think that's why like you can cry, you can scream, you can dance, you can act like crazy, quote unquote, because everyone else is doing it. So it truly does feel like a safe space that way, which I love. Like we made friends with the people sitting behind us, and turns out their son's born the same day that Max is born. Just like all these like random little conversations.
Yeah, it was just so incredible to see like different Swifties. And we were talking about this, how amazing that children grow up never knowing there was a time before Taylor Swift.
It's true.
Yeah, every time we saw little girls in like the cheerleading outfits, or like every time we saw them dressed up, like it's like, I know there's a trend going around like, what era were you born in? I was like, what era were you born in?
Yeah. Some of these were born in 1989 era.
Yeah.
Like they're young.
They're young kids. What about you, Hales?
I would say definitely the best Taylor Swift concert I've ever been to, hands down. Production value and like everything, like start to finish on that scale, 100%. I will say I went and saw like One Republic and The Script at Bud Stage years ago, and that still like holds itself as one of my favorites because it's a smaller venue. Those bands, music, like Ryan Tedder, I'm a huge Ryan Tedder fan, and like he's on every song and everything. So that's like still, this was top 3, if not top 2 between them two. They're probably like tied, but 2 very different concerts.
Yeah, of course.
Can't really compare them.
Yeah, of course.
But I would do Friday night over and over and over and over and over again.
Okay, that's good to know.
If we want to go like that, then I could say Hanson, 2012.
Oh yeah, Hillary Duff, 2009, ACC, first concert of my life, hands down the best moment.
The also moment that Libby freaked out was when they were playing Mbop before the show.
Listen, Taylor doesn't do anything by coincidence, okay? If there's Mbop, it's Mbop for a reason. It's because she loves it.
It's because she loves it. I was a skeptic going in that it was going to top Reputation, but it did. Like there's nothing like experiencing every one of her eras, so it truly is worth the hype, and like I don't care that it's all like the most popular songs. Like those are the most fun ones to dance to and sing to, and in a concert setting. And the costumes are amazing. Seeing them in person, it's like next level. The production value is insane. I just like, yeah, there's no show like it, which I would say like to everyone try to go, but it's like obviously very difficult to go, which leads us to, would you guys try to go again when she's in Toronto?
Absolutely.
Yeah, same. I don't know why people keep asking me that question. I've only ever gone to both nights of Taylor Swift at every, other than 1989. Every time she's performed in Toronto, I've gone to both nights. So like,
I feel like this is what I was be like, old grandmother Libby, but I would go again for sure. I hope that the set list is different or that the show is mixed up a bit. But man, that took a lot out of me. I'm still recovering.
I'm still recovering now too, to be honest. I didn't buy the hype of what everyone was saying that it like kills you a little bit when they're like, I can't believe you're throwing a birthday party after the show. I now understand why everyone said that to me. It like drains you quite a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know how people are doing like the back-to-back.
Yo, that's the first thing we said.
Insane.
We walked out the stadium. Haley's like, I don't know how people are doing the back-to-back going that hardcore. And like, because it's 3.5 hours of nonstop singing and dancing and screaming. Like that's, I don't know how she's putting on that show, which is what leads me to my next question of, do you think the set list will change for international tour dates? If so, how? I think it's going to get a little bit shorter personally. And I think she'll cut a song maybe from each era. And I think she'll make more room for Speak Now. What about you guys?
Yeah, I was going to say, if anything, I could see her switching out a lot of 1989 for Speak Now. But, I mean, knowing Taylor, it might get longer.
You think so?
No, I don't know.
I don't think she can make it longer.
But we're going to have so many new vault songs, and we're going to have so many great Speak Now songs that I think it's going to be mixed up for sure. But and I think she would do that too, just to keep it entertaining for people. I mean, look at how many variations of costumes people are getting. Look how many like surprise songs people are getting. But I mean, I could see it being a little Speak Now heavier.
Yeah, I agree. I think she obviously keeps the surprise songs, which is probably where we get a lot of the vault Speak Now songs. I don't think any of those would make. No. Unless for some reason it turns into like...
There's no vault tracks right now that have become... there's no vault tracks on this tour. No. Like in the main set list.
I don't think so. I think what she does is like more of what she did with Miss Americana into Cruel Summer. I think we get a lot more of that.
Mashups.
A lot more mashups. Yeah. Because I personally can't see her getting longer, and I don't know how you keep that up for like years.
In 1989, there was the Enchanted Wildest Dreams mashup.
I love that.
Yeah, I could see more of those. You're right. So maybe you're right. Maybe drop a song, shorter verses.
Yeah,
I feel like she might do that with some of the Evermore and Folklore songs.
She definitely could. She played the full song. She didn't like other than, like which one?
Illicit Affairs.
Illicit Affairs is the only one that she does short. The other one she all like she played the full song. Like Betty, although we got the full song, which is amazing, but it's like not necessarily necessary.
And I think you can tell how much she loves those two albums, and she wanted to perform them. And I think, not to say that it would be like out of her system, but I think she's getting what she wants from them now. That like moving forward, maybe that's what she trims.
I knowing. Like there's now rumors that on Friday that we're getting an extended version of Lover with like more vault tracks, and there's like, I just think there's no world that the tour looks the same, and I actually think that's why she very intentionally has not announced international tour dates in any of that yet. I think she's viewing this Eras tour as also different eras at a time, and so I think it's all been intentional. I think if like Reputation was the same tour everywhere she went, I think the reason she's been waiting to drop stuff and drop like announcements and everything is just due to the fact that the Eras tour itself will have different eras.
I had not thought about it like that, Sarah, and that's brilliant.
Thanks.
That actually makes so much sense.
It's just the Eras tour. She never said it was the Eras World Tour. She just said it is the Eras tour, meaning that each tour each part of the tour will have its own era anyways.
That makes so much sense. My mind is
I'm glad you're validating
right
my thought.
I'm like that, but it does. Like
when she didn't drop international tour dates immediately, because she always has, when she drops a world tour, she makes it very like known that she's going on a world tour. And I felt like the only reason was because they're gonna look different. And I think that's why there's all the merch already that has just the American leg. I think this is the American leg of it. I think maybe she announced Argentina and Mexico stuff because that's going to be a continuation of this era of the Eras tour. But I think when 2024 comes and there's all these rumors of these places that she's confirmed, whether it's France, whether it's Wembley, whether it's Toronto, I do think it's going to look different. which just makes it more fun that we'll get a different era of the Eras Tour.
And you can run this back and say you predicted it.
And I was right. Oh my gosh.
It actually makes a lot of sense. Like my mind is a little bit blown right now.
Like as you're talking, I have like those gifs of like the math like flying around my face. I'm like, oh my gosh.
It is true. Final thoughts on the Eras Tour while we wrap up this pod.
Bring headphones or bring earbuds if you're very sensitive.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would agree.
I was okay the next day, but you were still had ringing the next day.
I had some ringing. I lost some hearing that night, and that's okay. But I think it was just, I don't know, worth the money, worth the drive. Mm-hmm. It was something I'll never forget, and I was just really grateful that you asked me to go. It was so much fun.
No, it was so much fun. What about you, Hales?
I mean, I'm still trying to figure out ways of like putting it into words.
I know people keep asking us and we can't answer.
It's such a experience that going into it, I just tried to be so present and so aware of everything that was happening. And I feel like we all did a very good job at that. And like the fact that it's done is kind of sad, but it's also like so fun to still have the memories and the pictures and the videos. And it's just like, if you have the opportunity to go, don't think twice.
I agree. I think it was worth the hype, which was the one thing I was very skeptical about, whether it was actually going to be worth the hype. I don't know why I ever doubt Taylor Allison Swift, but I did a little bit. It's just as fun, a safe space as you can imagine. And yeah, if you have the opportunity to go, definitely don't pass up on it. But thanks for coming with me, guys. I thought it was so much fun.
It was so fun.
Every part of it.
And happy birthday.
Oh, thanks.
The best birthday party.
Yeah, the best
it really
birthday
was.
party.
With like
I will say, like, I turned 27 walking in ballet flats from Amazon, walking down the streets of Pittsburgh, and I was like, well.
And I have footage of it.
Yeah.
We were singing,
oh, yeah, you guys sang happy birthday.
I'm feeling 27.
Yeah. There's something that hits different about that one. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Talking Fast. As always, you can like, comment, subscribe, give us 5 stars, all of the good things. Let us know if you loved this breakdown, if you'd love more concert breakdowns or things in the future. You can also follow us on Talking Fast Show on Instagram. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube, all of the things. We will see you next time. And I think Jacob will be here. Maybe not. He might be kicked off and you guys can just come on the show from now on. Thank you to Libby and Haley for being part of the show. And I will see you all later. Bye.